Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devadasi from College Station, Texas.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Is there anyone who would like to introduce in the call today?
Hare Krishna Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Shama Gauri Devidasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Shyama Gauri Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, we will start the recording, Mataji, if nobody is introducing.
Okay. Okay, I welcome all of you for joining today's Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today, we are really fortunate to have His Grace Chaitanya Lila Prabhuji to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, verse 8.3.22 to 24. Before I hand over the call to Chaitanya Lila Prabhuji, I would like to hand over the call to Ayan Prabhu for the brief introduction on Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhu, over to you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Vinod Pranam. I offer my obeisances to all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Here is a brief introduction for our today's speaker, His Grace Chaitanya Lila Das. Prabhuji is a disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. After completing his engineering studies from the University of Delhi and IIT Kharagpur, Prabhuji gathered few years of work experience within the corporate IIT MNC Mumbai. Thereafter, Prabhuji decided to serve the society at large as a resident monk at Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Temple, ISKCON, at Chowpatty, Mumbai. For the last 12 years, Prabhuji has been actively involved in sharing the essence of all the Vedic scriptures with others at a number of corporate, social, and education enterprise centers. Prabhuji is heading the IIT department and assists in youth outreach. Here goes the brief introduction for Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Mataji, over to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for that brief introduction. Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna, Pranam Mataji. Thank you so much, Aryan Sahab Prabhu, for your kind words. Hope I'm audible to everyone. Mataji, am I audible?
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, can hear you.
Okay. So thank you once again. Thanks to Shyama Gauri Mataji for giving me this opportunity to serve all the devotees who gather every different times of the day actually for the Bhakti Sangha conference. And it's my great fortune and privilege to be of some service to all of you. So we'll start off with the verse today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 3, chapter entitled Withdrawal of the Cosmic Creations, verses 22nd through 24th. So
Prabhuji, are you sharing the screen, Prabhuji?
Shall I? I'll just share once again.
Yeah. Some speakers likes to do that themselves. That's why I'm asking.
Sure, I'll do that. Yeah. So We'll read the verse. Yasya brahmadayo deva veda lokaschara nama rupa vibhedena halgya cha kalaya krita यथार्चिषोऽग्नेः सवितुर्गभस्तयो निर्यान्ति संयान्ति यसकृत्स्वरोचिषः तथा यतोऽयं गुणसम्प्रवाहो बुद्धिर्मनः खानि शरीरसर्गा स वै न देवासुरमर्त्यतीर्यान् न स्त्री न सन्धो न पुमान् न जन्तुः नायं गुणः कर्म सन् न सन्न चासन् निषेधशेषो जयताद् अशेषः. Word to word translation, word to word meaning. Yasya, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who Brahma Adayah, the great demigods headed by Lord Brahma, Deva and other demigods, Vedaha, the Vedic knowledge, Lokah, different personalities, Chara Charaha, the moving and the non-moving like trees and plants, Nama Rupa, of different names and different forms, Vibhedena, by such divisions, Halgya, who are less important, Cha, also, Kalaya, by the parts, Krita, created, Yatha, as, Archishaha, the sparks, Agneha, of fire, Savitu, from the sun, Gabhastayaha, the shining particles, Niryanti, emanate from, Sanyanti, and enter into, Asakrit, again and again, Swarochishaha, as parts and parcels, Tatha, similarly, Yataha, the personality of Godhead from whom I am this, Guna Sampravaha, continuous manifestation of the different modes of nature, Buddhi Manaha, the intelligence and mind, Khani, the senses, Sharira, of the body, gross and subtle, Sargaha, the divisions, Saha, that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why, indeed, Na is not, Deva, demigod, Asura, demon, Martya, human being, Tiryak, bird or beast, Na, neither, Stri, woman, Na, nor, Sandha, neuter, Na, neither, Puman, man, Na, nor, Jantuhu, living being or animal, Na ayam, nor is he, Gunaha, material quality, Karma, fruitive activity, Na is not, Sat, manifestation, Na, nor, Cha, also, Asat, non-manifestation, Nishedha, of the discrimination of Neti, Neti, not this, not this, Sheshaha, he is the end, Jayatat, all glories unto him, Asheshaha, one who is unlimited. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead creates his minor parts and parcels, the Jiva Tattva, beginning with Lord Brahma, the demigods, and the expansions of Vedic knowledge, Sam, Rig, Yajur, and Atharva, and including all other living entities, moving and non-moving, with the different names and characteristics. As the sparks of a fire or the shining rays of the sun emanate from their source and merge into it again and again, the mind, the intelligence, the senses, the gross and subtle material bodies, and the continuous transformations of the different modes of nature all emanate from the Lord and again merge into him. He is neither demigod nor demon, neither human nor bird or beast. He is not a woman, man, or neuter, nor is he an animal. He is not a material quality, a fruitive activity, a manifestation or non-manifestation. is the last word in the discrimination of not this, and he is unlimited. All glories to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. This is a summary description of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's unlimited potency. That Supreme One is acting in different phases by manifesting his parts and parcels, which are all simultaneously differently situated by his different potencies. Parashya Saktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. Each and every potency is acting quite naturally. Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyacha. Therefore, the Lord is unlimited. Natat samas chabhyadhikas chadrishyate. Nothing is equal to him, nor is anything greater than him. Although he manifests himself in so many ways, personally he has nothing to do. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. For everything is done by expansions of his unlimited energies. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschyat Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So I'd like to once again take the blessings of all the devotees present here, so that I'm able to speak some words on the exalted topics of Srimad Bhagavatam for my own purification and for the pleasure of all the assembled devotees. So there's a very beautiful verse, prayers of Gajendra, and we have been reading how Gajendra is in a very disturbing situation, is in a very difficult situation, and from the bottom of his heart, he is offering these prayers for the glorification of the Supreme Lord. And in the specific verse that we are reading today, we are hearing Gajendra speak about the special position of the Lord, how the Lord is the origin of everything, and about the special identity of the Lord, how he is beyond material, beyond anything material that we may know. And Srila Prabhupada, he writes a very beautiful purport to this particular verse, and he, in his purport, he explains about the unlimited potencies of the Supreme Lord. And he quotes from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad this beautiful verse, Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate, न तत् समश्चाभि अधिकश्च दृश्यते परास्य शक्तिर विविधैव श्रूयते स्वाभाविकी ज्ञान बल क्रिया च. That how there is no one equal to the Supreme Lord. Natasya karyam karadam cha vidyate. That Supreme Lord has no assigned duties by anyone. No one has, he doesn't have a set of duties that he has to perform that have been assigned by someone else. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. Natat samas cha abhikat cha abhi adhikascha drishyate. There is no one equal to him, nor is there anyone superior to him. And parasya shaktir vividheva shruyate. He has multifarious energies. Vividheva, different varieties of energies. Parasya shaktir, unlimited. Swabhaviki jnana bala kriyachar. And all of these energies, they function seamlessly, automatically, just by his desires. And these energies have been categorized in these three major categories: Jnana Shakti, Bala Shakti, and Kriya Shakti. Jnanam Swabhaviki, Jnana Bala, Kriya Cha. And by knowing these inconceivable potencies of the Lord, by knowing these about the inconceivable energies of the Lord, by knowing about the special position of the Lord, we will be able to get rid of the material clutches. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we read how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he, when he's in Prayag giving teaching Sanatan Goswami, and this comes in the Madhya Lila, and he says how Krishna is like that brilliant sunlight. And wherever there is knowledge of Krishna, there can't be ignorance. Krishna Surya Sam Maya Hai Andhakar. Jaha Krishna Taha Nahi Mayar Adhikar. Wherever there is understanding, wherever there is proper understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that knowledge is capable of helping people come out of the ignorant activities that people in this material world are engaged in. And this knowledge about Krishna, or this light of spiritual knowledge, is very much capable of removing our darkness of ignorance about him. So I just thought of sharing a few qualities of Krishna today, how 5 unique characteristics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And knowing about these characteristics, meditating about these characteristics, we'll be able to focus our minds better on him. And by doing so, we'll also be able to make a shift in the quality of our own practice, make a shift in the quality of thoughts, the quality of decisions that we make. Because when our activities, our thoughts, our decisions are guided by an awareness of Krishna, they are bound to be much more fruitful, they are bound to be much more beneficial for each and every one of us. So I've just put all of these 5 characteristics in this acronym LIGHT. So we'll be discussing each of these 5 characteristics, starting with L, how the Supreme Lord is limitless. One can't impose any limit on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Srila Prabhupada, he also writes in this very purport, actually, the Srimad Bhagavatam translation, it is mentioned that how the Supreme Lord is not confined by any form, any category. He is neither a demigod nor a demon. He is neither a human nor a bird nor a beast. He is not a woman, man, or neuter, nor is he an animal. He is not a material quality, a fruitive activity, a manifestation, or non-manifestation. And we see this beautiful quality of the Lord demonstrated when the Supreme Lord, he incarnates as Lord Vamanadev. As Lord Vamanadev, he comes in the form of a dwarf as a Vatu before Bali Maharaj. And Bali Maharaj is very captivated seeing the beautiful form of the Lord as a small little dwarf. And Bali Maharaj, out of his natural affection, out of his natural attraction for this form, he wants to offer a gift to Vamana. And he asks for, he asks Vamana that, is there anything I can give you? And Vamana says, no, I just want 3 pieces of land. And of course, we know the whole story how Bali Maharaj, he is he's like kind of taken aback that, I can give you whole planets, I can give you immense amounts of riches. Why is it that you just want 3 pieces of land? But then Vamana is like, he, of course, he gives a lot of nice understanding. But then eventually we find that, yes, Bali Maharaj asks him to just take, any land that he wants. He can measure any land, and that could be his. And as the story goes, how Vamana, within moments, Vamana Dev, he expands himself unlimitedly, and with one step he covers all the lower 7 planetary systems, and with his next step he covers the upper 7 planetary systems. And within just 2 steps, as Vamanadev, he has like covered the whole span of the universe. And then he asks Bali Maharaj that, you promised me 3 steps, but you don't have any more property left with you, because I've covered all of your property with just 2 of my steps. And that shows that how, and of course, Bali Maharaj, very soon he realizes that, this can't be an ordinary small little child, a small dwarf. He's bound to be someone very, very special, and he surrenders. He wants to surrender before him, and he's stopped by Shukracharya and all of that. But then in this particular incarnation, the Lord demonstrates his limitless characteristic, that how this unlimited nature of his makes him beyond any material designation, like gender, like species, or any other classification. So therefore, yes, the Supreme Lord is very much limitless. We can't completely fathom or have a complete understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the limited faculties that we have. So therefore, that is a very, very special quality of the Supreme Lord, that how he is limitless. Next quality that I would like to share is how the Supreme Lord, he has an immutable existence, just like his parts and parcels, the living entities. In the Bhagavad Gita, he mentions that how the living beings, they can't be cut into pieces, how the living beings, how the spirit soul is immutable. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is also immutable in his own nature. Unlike his material manifestations, the material manifestations from the Supreme Lord, they constantly change and decay, but the Lord is unchanging and ever existence. And in such an immutable existence, he transcends creation, dissolution, remaining eternally perfect. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, he mentions, Natva evaham jatunasham nattam neme janadipaha na chaive na bhavishyamaha sarve vayam atah param. There was never a time when I didn't exist. There was never a time when you or all of these kings did not exist. And never will there be a time in future also when all of us won't be existing. So it's not that the Supreme Lord, he comes into being at a certain point of time, just like these material bodies that all of us have. And at a certain point of time, his existence is finished. So he has an immutable existence, and he demonstrates his amazing immutable form in the form of his universal nature to Arjuna right there on the battlefield. And when Krishna reveals his Vishwaroop to Arjuna in the 11th chapter of the Gita, we find it becomes very much clear that although he manifests himself in a human-like form, but his actual existence is eternal and immutable. Even time and space are contained within him. He demonstrates to Arjuna, and his true essence never diminishes or changes. So, therefore, yes, just like his part and parcel, the living entities, the existence of the Supreme Lord also is immutable in nature. And then we find that how the Supreme Lord is greatest of all. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is greatest of all the created living beings, greater than anyone else. And we find this very beautifully demonstrated that when we talk about the Supreme Lord being greater than the greatest of personalities whom we know, who are the great personalities whom we know? We know the personalities like Lord Brahma, we know the personalities like Lord Shiva, like the different demigods. And the Srimad Bhagavatam very beautifully portrays how the Supreme Lord is actually greater than any of the created demigods. And this is demonstrated in the pastime of Samudra Manthan, that when the demigods and demons, they constantly have a disagreement, and there are these Devasur Sangram, this fights between the demigods and demons often happening. And uh, how at one point of time there is this fight between the demons and demigods, and then uh, it appears that no one is will be winning, and the fight is for nectar, and then they are suggested to churn this milk ocean, and and the whole Samudra Manthan pastime. We won't get into the details, but the in essence we find that both the demons and demigods, they are working very hard to churn the ocean, and both of them experience lot of difficulties, a lot of challenges which they are unable to overcome on their own. And to help them, to help the demons and demigods with their challenges, the Supreme Lord, he incarnates in many forms. The Samudra Manthan pastime explains that how the Supreme Lord, he incarnates as Ajita, he incarnates as Dhanvantari, he incarnates as Mohini Murti. He himself appears as Dhanvantari with the pot of nectar, and then to ensure that the nectar is distributed wisely and protect the nectar from being misused by the demons, Mohini Murti, in the form of Mohini Murti, he appears. And this entire pastime shows that how the Supreme Lord is capable of helping even the greatest of personalities whom we know here in this world. And therefore, even the most powerful beings are dependent on him. And that is how he's truly greater than everyone. In the Bhagavad Gita himself, Krishna, he mentions, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate. Iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitah. Aham sarvasya prabhavo. There is no truth higher than me. Mattah sarvam pravartate. Everything emanates from me. And iti matva bhajante mam. And if one knows me as such, as the source of everything, from whom everything is manifesting, Buddha Bhava Samanvitaha. And that is the true characteristic of a intelligent person, one who knows me to be the supreme source of everything. And Srila Prabhupada, if we look at the purport of this particular verse, this 10.8, the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita. If we look at the purport of this particular verse, Srila Prabhupada establishes the greatness of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada establishes the greatness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by referring to very many scriptures. He quotes from the Atharva Veda, he quotes from the Gopalatapani Upanishad, he quotes from the Narayana Upanishad, he quotes from Maha Upanishad, from the Mahabharata, from the Varaha Puran, and lot of verses. We don't have so much time to get into the details of all of those verses, but then maybe devotees here can refer to the purport to Bhagavad Gita 10.8, 10th chapter, 8th verse, that how Srila Prabhupada very shastrically he establishes that this is not a matter of opinion, this is not a matter of a dialogue or a discussion. It's not a matter that the truth is already established by so many of these scriptures. And Srila Prabhupada very categorically and very emphatically, Srila Prabhupada, he establishes the truth that how Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, as mentioned in these scriptures. Thereafter, we find, so we discussed that how the Supreme Lord is limitless, how he has an immutable existence, and how he is the greatest of everything, everyone. Thereafter, we find that how the Supreme Lord is hidden to our material eyes. It's not possible to completely perceive the Supreme Lord by our material eyes. And we find in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, describes the pastimes of Lord Narasimhadev, and how there is this argument happening between Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad, and Hiranyakashipu wants to know that, where is this Vishnu that Prahlad has been speaking about, and he demands to see Vishnu right then and there. But unlike Prahlad, who is capable of perceiving the presence of Lord because of the devotion within his heart, in the Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma, he mentions Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santah Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yah Shyama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That one who has his eyes anointed with the salve of devotion, only such a person will be able to perceive the presence of the Lord anywhere and everywhere. And that's exactly the case with Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad is able to perceive the presence of Lord everywhere because he has this vision anointed with devotion. But then Hiranyakashipu, lacking that particular spiritual vision, that devoted vision, Hiranyakashipu is not able to see the presence of the Lord, perceive the presence of Vishnu. And therefore, when Prahlad tells his father that he is everywhere, and Hiranyakashipu asks, is he also in this pillar? Prahlad says, yeah, of course he is, Andantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastham. He is between, yes, that's not quoted by Prahlad, that's quoted by Brahmaji. But then, just like the Supreme Lord is present within each and every atom, and between the space between two atoms, and even in the space between two atoms, similarly, Prahlad says, yeah, of course he's present in the pillar. And then, just to prove the words of his devotee correct, Satyam Vidatum Nija Bhritya Bhashitam, his Bhritya, his devotee Prahlad, just to prove his words to be correct, the Supreme Lord, he manifests himself in a never seen before form as Lord Narasimhadev. Sri Narasimhadev Bhagavan ki jai. And proving that he is hidden from the vision of a person who is proud, just like Hiranyakashipu, but he is very much revealed. His form is revealed to someone who is faithful in nature, who has unflinching faith in the presence of the Lord everywhere. And therefore, the Supreme Lord is hidden to material eyes. One of the names of the Supreme Lord is Adhokshaja. The Supreme Lord cannot be perceived by these material eyes. The Srimad Bhagavatam mentions while explaining about the supremost occupational duty, supremost responsibility or duty for all the living beings in answer to the query of Parikshit Maharaj, Suta Goswami mentions in the, I guess, the first canto itself. Yeah. Or no, it's the second canto of first chapter. Yeah. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje ahaytuki apratihata eyatma suprasidati. So savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje. That when loving devotional service is performed to that supreme personality of Godhead who is Adha Okshaja. Aksha means the eyes. Adha Okshaja means that someone who is beyond the perception of these material eyes. And the same thing is even echoed by Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritaha. Mudho yam na bhijanati lokomam aham avyayam. That I don't reveal myself to anyone and everyone. Yogamaya samavrita. I am covered by this curtain of Yogamaya. Even Queen Kunti, she mentions that how the Supreme Lord is covered from the non-devotees by this curtain of Maya. Mudhoyam na bhijanati, especially for the foolish people, for the ignorant and envious people, they'll never be able to understand me. Loko mamaham alam ajam abhyayam. That how I'm beyond the perception of such people who have just a material vision. And then the last quality of the Lord that we'll be discussing today is how the Supreme Lord is timeless, is beyond time. He mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions in the Gita that how he is the eternal witness and the unchanging reality amidst the constantly changing nature of this material world. The reality of Krishna is something which doesn't change. Otherwise, everything else in this material world keeps on changing. It is said that just the identity of the Supreme Lord and the devotion to the Supreme Lord is the only reality in this material world, in this constantly changing material existence. Other than this, everything else keeps on changing. And he also mentions that how he is not affected by time. In fact, time is also controlled by him. Kamosmi, Kalosmi, Bharatarshava. That how he's the origin of time himself. In the Srimad Bhagavatam third canto, Lord Kapila in this incarnation as Lord Kapila, he's in his instructions to his mother Devahuti, he's explaining, Lord Kapila explains that how Kala is an aspect of his own potency and how Mahavishnu, lying on the causal ocean, exhales and the universes manifest. He inhales and then they dissolve. Lord Kapila, he explains about all of these process of creation and the process of dissolution. But the nature of the Lord himself is not subject to anything past, present, or future. He is Adyam, the original source, and Anadi, having no beginning. Lord Brahmaji, he glorifies in his prayers the Brahma Samhita that Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovajnam cha Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham sa Atma Bhakto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. He is Advaitam. There is no one equal to him or same as him. Advaitam Achyutam. He is infallible. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim. He has no beginning and he has no end. And therefore, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam. He has, of course, unlimited forms. Adyam. He has no beginning. Purana Purusham. Adyam Purana Purusham. Although he is the oldest of all, still he has Navayoganam cha. His form is like a ever fresh young boy. And therefore, we understand that when we learn about these special characteristics of the Supreme Lord, when we know the Supreme Lord, that he is limitless in nature, how he has an immutable existence, how he's the greatest of all created beings, how he's hidden from our material vision, he's hidden from our material eyes, and he is timeless in nature. When we understand the Supreme Lord as such, it's a very revealing experience. But to do so is not easy. To understand him, to understand all of these characteristics, it's not easy, because uh, as Srila Rupa Goswami mentions in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that Atah Sri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahyam indriye, will not be able to perceive these special characteristics just by our material faculties that we have. Na bhavet grahyam indriya, by our senses, through these material senses that we have, will not be able to perceive these special qualities, that the Lord is limitless, that the Lord is immutable, unbreakable, he's the greatest, he's hidden from material vision, and is timeless. It's difficult to perceive him as such by our material senses, and therefore it is only possible by engaging our senses in pure devotional service. In the 18th chapter, of the last chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, he mentions bhaktya mam abhijaniti, uh, bhaktya mam abhijaniti, that I can be known only by pure devotional service. I cannot be known by people who do not have any devotion within my heart, within their hearts, specifically by the non-devotees. I can't be known by people who just resort to knowing me by erudite scholarship, who want to know me by mental speculation, who want to know me by intense austerities. I mean, and speaking for all of us, I don't know how many of us will actually fall into the categories of become very very scholarly in reading and memorizing and understanding all of the Vedas and all of that, or by mental speculation or doing intense austerities. Maybe will not be able to do that. But then, of course, yeah, having come into the Krishna consciousness movement, we have understood that uh, it is definitely not possible to understand and connect to the Lord without the process of devotion, without the beautiful process of devotional service that has been gifted to us by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. And we find in this world that how people in general, when they, why do they approach the Supreme Lord? Mostly it is for something that they want, just to fulfill their desires. We find so many people thronging to the temples, thronging to mosques, to churches, synagogues, and all of these places of worship. People more or less, they approach the Supreme Lord just to fulfill their desire. But our acharyas, they explain that someone who is just intending to take help of the Supreme Lord to fulfill their own desires, they can't be put in the category of devotees. They can't be classified as devotees, and therefore, just to fulfill our own desires, it won't be possible to know and connect to the Supreme Lord. Yes, our desires might get fulfilled when there are people who are wanting maybe a good job or a good promotion or a good wife or a husband, or nice marks, or good placement in a nice company, or just freedom from maybe diseases, or freedom from any of the other miseries. Just when this approach is very self-centric, it's not possible to know the Supreme Lord as he is, as per the special characteristics that we have been discussing today. And we find that how even great personalities like Lord Brahma, even Lord Brahma, when he was born on a lotus flower. and he had no clue about the source of his birth. He had no clue, about what he's supposed to do, and all that he was doing was speculating. He just started climbing down the stem of the lotus flower, trying to locate the source of his existence, but being threatened by the tumultuous waves of Garbhodak ocean, he once again climbed back, and he was just wondering. And that is when he heard these two syllables, tapa. He heard this instruction of the Supreme Lord to do tapasya, and eventually he got instructed by the Supreme Lord, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. But then we find that even after doing tapasya, it's not that just by doing tapasya he was able to receive the mercy of the Lord in the form of an opportunity to serve him. We find the example of Ravana. Ravana was also very much qualified in many scriptures. Ravana was very qualified in recitation of mantras, in performing intense austerities, but Ravana never achieved the mercy of the Supreme Lord because there was a very in very very um, a unique difference between Brahmaji and Ravana. Brahmaji, he was also doing these austerities, and Hiranyakashipu and Ravana, they were also doing these austerities. But the difference was in their attitude. Lord Brahmaji had this attitude of humility within him, and he had this desire of serving the Supreme Lord at some time in the future. Whereas Ravana and Hiranyakashipu, their purpose of austerities was to become great. And it is because of this attitude of humility that Lord Brahmaji, he was blessed with an opportunity to serve, whereas Ravana and Hiranyakashipu, they just invited their own, death in the form of being killed by the Lord Himself. So therefore, it is not just by speculation, not just by scholarship, because even Ravana was like very much learned, and it's not by penance or by jnana marg. Even we find the example of the four Kumaras. They also admit that till we had your darshan, and till the time we were able to smell the fragrance of the tulsi leaves from your lotus feet, we were also stuck up at a lower at the Brahman platform basically, and just by having your mercy now, we feel blessed, and it is now that we are able to know you completely. So all of these instances, they show that if at all we want to know the Supreme Lord in him in totality, if at all we want to connect to him, if at all we want to serve him to the best of our capability, it is only and only possible by developing the right attitude within our hearts, because it's not the external capabilities or the external situations. There are so many beautiful examples. I just quote a story from the Mahabharata. The Mahabharata explains the story of a rishi, Kaushik Rishi. He was doing his tapasya beneath a tree, and on top of the tree, there is a crane that comes up, and the crane passes some droppings which lands right on his head, and this infuriates Kaushik Rishi, and he looks at the crane, and just by his angry look, the crane is burned to ashes. And Kaushik Rishi is like he immediately realizes that this is not what he should have done, and he laments. And it is explained that later that day, when Kaushik Rishi, he goes to beg alms to a nearby village, and he comes to a particular home, and he begs for some bhiksha, some alms. And there is a lady who comes out, and she says that, look, I'm engaged currently in the service of my husband, and therefore you will need to wait. And hearing this, Kaushik Rishi is not very much pleased, and that displeasure is evident on his face. And seeing the displeased demeanor of Kaushik Rishi, this lady, she says him that, look, although you may be displeased, but it won't be possible for you to burn me like the way you burned that particular crane earlier this morning. And hearing this, Kaushik Rishi is like completely, out of his wits, that, how come this village woman, uh, far away from the forest, she comes to know about how I had burned this crane earlier this morning. And Kaushik Rishi, he understands that, she's not an ordinary lady. She's a very dharmic person and very righteous and religious lady. And Kaushik Rishi, he surrenders before us, and he asks her about the principles of dharma. But the lady says that if at all you want to know about the principles of dharma, better go to that another village where there is this butcher who is engaged in more dharmic activities. Now, hearing this, Kaushik Rishi is once again puzzled that how could a butcher be a religious man? Nevertheless, because he knew that this lady is no ordinary lady, just following her instructions, he goes to that particular village, to that butcher, and that Dharma Vyada. He asks that, I've heard that you're a very religious person, but you are engaged in such a very abominable activity of killing animals. So the Vyada, the butcher, he says that, yeah, because there's a particular situation which I'm not able to help myself with. I'm not able to change this situation, but then I just do it as a duty, and the money that I earn out of this, I use this to take care of my family, to take care of my parents, also to serve the Supreme Lord. So yeah, although I am caught up in this very difficult situation, but then uh, I try to live a religious life. And Vyasadeva, quoting the story of Dharmavya, the Vyasadeva instructs in the Mahabharata that many a times people, they hide behind their own material excuses in the form of circumstances, in the form of incapabilities, in the form of unfavorable situations, in the form of lack of facilities, in the form of lack of resources. That I have these n number of reasons because of which it's difficult for me to surrender to the Lord and serve the Lord. But Vyasadeva in Mahabharata, he mentions that, what kind of situation was this Dharmavyada engaged in? He was engaged in a very abominable activity. What kind of a beauty did Kubja have? Kubja was not beautiful. She was engaged in serving Kamsa. What kind of physical prowess did Ugrasen Maharaj have? He was a weak, bodily, he didn't have much strength in his body. What kind of maturity which Dhruva had? Dhruva was a small little child. He was not a mature person. What kind of you know intelligence did Gajendra have? Gajendra was in the form of an elephant. But then all of these people, even though they were in a very unfavorable situation, they had unfavorable, maybe an occupation, an unfavorable body, an unfavorable intelligence, an unfavorable situation, external situations. But then Vyasdev mentions that the supreme personality of Godhead is bhakti priyo. He is not guna priya. He is not looking that what kind of qualities do we have. specifically speaking about external qualities do we have? Bhaktya tushyati kevalam nacha gunair bhakti priyo madhava, as they mentions in the Vanaparav of Mahabharata, that the Supreme Lord is bhakti priya. He looks at the attitude within. Is there a desire? Is there a strong desire to serve or not? Is there a strong uh, willingness to connect to the Supreme Lord, to serve the Supreme Lord and serve his devotees? If there is that willingness, yes, whatever situation one may be in, one will be able to locate an opportunity to serve the Supreme Lord. And it is only by service that we'll be able to know the Supreme Lord as He is. It is only by engaging, just like we read from the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, the Sri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahyam indriya. Sevon mukhe hi jihvado. Only by rendering service, which starts with this jihva, uh, uh, starting with chanting the holy names of the Lord and honoring the footsteps offered to the Supreme Lord. Sevon mukhe hi jihvado swayameva spuratyadaha. Wherever there is service, wherever there is pure service with love and devotion, that is when everything, the Supreme Lord manifests all of his attributes, qualities, from within his heart. And that is how we are able to know him fully. So I'll just repeat all that we discussed today. Yeah, this beautiful verse someone has posted for everyone. That this beautiful verse everyone can go through. So yeah, I'll just repeat whatever we discussed. We are reading from the prayers of Gajendra, and Gajendra is speaking about the unlimited potencies of the Supreme Lord, the special identity of the Supreme Lord, and we discussed five special qualities. How the Supreme Lord is limitless, how he is having an immutable existence, how he is the greatest of everyone, how he is hidden from material vision, and how he is timeless in nature. And for us to actually perceive the Supreme Lord in totality will be very difficult unless and until we resort to the practice of loving devotional service. And we also discussed that how this rendering of service is very much possible when the intention within the heart is that to serve the Lord, and not kind of because we find that during the initial stages our struggles they become our excuses. So but then when we look at the scriptures, we understand that it's not the external struggles. Yes, struggles will be there, but when we empower ourselves with the mercy of the Supreme Lord by rendering service into him, with that genuine prayerful desire, just like Gajendra is praying, we find the mercy is sure to come. Just like in the following verses, we'll find the Supreme Lord coming with all the demigods and immediately helping Gajendra out of his struggle. So thank you all very much for your patient presence, for your patient hearing. And if there are any questions, maybe we can take a few.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for this very, very wonderful class. It was really very thought-provoking class, that how a devotee progresses from seeing the situation with his intelligence and totally comes to the position that everything is in Krishna's hand. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for this wonderful
So we
journey.
have Shiv Kumar Prabhu raising his hand. Yes, Shiv Kumar Prabhu, maybe you can speak up. What's your
Yes,
question?
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavad Pranams, Prabhu. Thank you so much for today's class, Prabhu. It's a very inspiring and insightful class as always. Prabhu, one question, Prabhu. When we hear this term absolute truth, what characteristic does it mean, Prabhu, in terms of the points that were discussed in today's class?
Yeah, so basically, Srila Prabhupada, he explains that absolute truth is something which doesn't change. The place that all of us are in currently, the nature of this material world, that everything is changing in this material world. Everything is constantly, changing, whether it is the body, whether it is our capabilities, whether it's our resources, whether it is our wealth, whether it's the surroundings that we are in. So the nature of the material world is that material world is changing in nature, and therefore for the spirit soul to adapt to the material world is something very contrary, because the spirit soul, the nature of the spirit soul is unchanging. The nature of the spirit soul is Satchit Ananda, but the material world is Asat. The material world is a place of ignorance, Achit, and there is no real pleasure. There is only flickering short-term pleasure here in this material world, and therefore the spirit soul, the nature of the spirit soul is very much contrary to the nature of the material world, and therefore it behooves the living beings to know and understand the existence of a person whose nature is not changing, or to know and understand that place which is the nature of which is not changing. And that is what is defined as the absolute truth, the spiritual realm, the spiritual uh, uh, environment, the spiritual relationship that the living being, the jiva, has with the Supreme Lord, the identity of the Supreme Lord, the identity of the jiva himself. When the jiva, he starts empowering himself with realities, uh, with those non-changing realities, that is what is the absolute truth. Basically, absolute truth means truth which is not dependent on time, place and circumstances, but is very much the same uh, in all time, place and circumstances.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for that question.
Do we have
Yes.
any other question?
No, Prabhu, there are no more hand raises. Devotees, if you have any questions or comments, you can go ahead now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna, Shamaguri Mataji. Thank
Very,
you so
very
much.
wonderful class, Prabhuji. How you connected with all the devotees like Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruva Maharaj and Gajendra. All are like, praying for the Lord and different prayers you ask us to recite. And thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class. Thank you so much for your time and association, Prabhuji. You are very busy nowadays, so you are not able to give your association.
Actually moved to Rishikesh now. It's been a few years now.
Yes,
But
yes, Prabhuji.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to serve all the devotees as
No
before.
problem, Prabhuji. You are doing wonderful service, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank
So
you.
once again, thanks to everyone for being present here today. I'd like to offer my respectful obeisances to all the devotees. Pancha kalpatarubhyascha
वाञ्छाकल्पतरुपेक्षा कृपा सिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
Namo Namah. Amen.
The Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sri
Jai.
Caitanya Lila Prabhuji ki
Ki
jai.
jai.
Prabhuji,
Jai,
thank you
Jai.
for taking leave
Thank
and
you,
assisting
Prabhuji.
whenever
Thank you
possible.
so
Thank
much.
you, Prabhu.
Nityananda.
गावरंग
Missed you.
नित्यानंद हरि हरि बोल।
Anita Mataji and Dinabandhu Prabhu, we missed you for 3 days. Hare Krishna, nice to see you back again. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you for joining. We'll close the call for today. Gauranga, Nityananda, Hari Hari.